All right, guys, we're going to give you a quick sneak peek of next week's episode. You're not going to want to miss it. We talk about some very interesting things on the health headlines. But this first video, let's kick it off. This first part of the video of next week's episode, we kick it off by looking at a powerful Bible verse from Revelation 13, often referred to where they talk about the mark of the beast and compare it to modern biometric payment systems popping up in places like China and here in America. In places like Whole Foods, from hand scanners to social credit scores, we delve into whether this new wave of convenience has a hidden cost. Then we shift to another topic at the end, fast food chains and their quote-unquote health rankings. But guess how many ingredients are in a Chick-fil-A sandwich? Just a regular Chick-fil-A sandwich. 10? 50? 100? I don't know. But we're going to tell you, stay tuned to the end where you see it. All right, I came across this Bible verse this morning, guys. I want you to listen to this. This is Revelation 13, verses 16 through 17. It says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." Okay, in his right hand. Now, I want to play this video that I came across on Twitter. It's this guy in China. He went to the grocery store or the convenience store to buy some chips. He forgot his wallet. Check this out. Hang on. I messed it up. Let me share the screen.
That's all right.
All that work. Okay,
That's an editing fix.
All right, you guys can see it.
Yep.
Right, so now I'm going to pay for it. I've left my phone and my card at home. I actually got nothing.
With his hand, is he doing that?
Yeah, with his hand. It dings.
Wild, man.
Look at that, how crazy.
Mate, this
Oh,
country
dude, he's
is
excited,
blowing my mind. It's paid with my palm.
Yeah, it's blowing my mind too. Dude, our local Whole Foods implemented the same exact thing. You can actually pay with the palm of your hand at the store itself, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I was there with my kid
insane.
the other day, and like he looked at it and was like, "Oh man, that's cool." I was like, well, not exactly. No, there's a lot of stuff like that. I've seen a lot of that going on. Whole Foods, like I said, I was somewhere else the other day, and they had that exact thing in there too. I don't know. I think that's going to become common for sure.
Yeah,
but it's crazy that it's here too. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy that it's like we kept hearing about this stuff, and like I remember hearing about that in like the 90s. Like I was a kid, and I was like, how in the world would that ever be a thing? And now like you can see more and more. It's like, okay, that could actually very easily be implemented, and is being implemented right now. So. And I think it's just going to get more and more and more common. I think it's going to be, I think at the end of the day, it's about the convenience of it, right? It's like, oh, awesome. I can go to the store without a wallet or without my phone and pay. Yeah, that's awesome. I want to do that. But I don't know. Opens the door to some tricky stuff for sure. Yeah. How do you do that, Brett? Do you know?
Yeah, so basically on this graphic that I'll throw up on the screen here, it's this little chip that's implanted in between these two bones here.
God, man. So it is like it's right out of the Bible.
Right out of the Bible. He lays it on the scanner, and it says, in the Bible, it says, the mark is connected to commerce, and it's given to all people regardless of social class or status, and it prevents people from buying or selling without it. And that's what they're trying to do.
Crazy.
Right? And the social credit scores in China that they have, this is exactly what they're trying to do. You have to get this if you want to buy and sell. You have to connect everything to it. And if you screw up, if you go against the narrative, then you get docked points, and they either take your money, they don't allow you to buy certain things. There is no end to what they can control if they get this chip in your hand.
So I'll say this too. Just to be clear and fair, I do think the one at my local grocery store is more, I don't think it's chip based, although I could be wrong about that. I do think it's something to do with like the unique fingerprints of your hand tied to, your own bank account or like having an account with them. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I don't know that it's a chip thing, although I would not be shocked either way. I'll say that.
I can't fathom putting something. My kids did the same thing. They thought it was awesome. They were like, "That's so
totally.
cool."
They think it's really cool.
And I'm saying Antichrist and this and that, and they're like, "That's so cool." And I'm like, "Satan." They're like, "What?"
They're like, "The devil?" No. Well, that's the thing too, though. I mean, like, if you think about it, that technology is really cool. Like, and I think there's going to be a lot of stuff like that, especially as we progress more and more toward these ideas. I think there's going to be a lot of cutting edge stuff that it's like, oh, dude, that's awesome. I want to do that. Why would you not want that? I think that like the next like generation will look at a lot of that stuff and say, why would you not want that? You guys are so old and outdated and scared about everything, which is, to be fair, is kind of true. But I do think that there's a lot of that's going to be happening. So. Yeah.
That's the problem with technology is it's making everything easier. Ever since the invention 100%. Of the wheel, things have been getting easier. We developed 100%. We had horses. We developed a bicycle. The bicycle became the car. Horses became obsolete. Now we have planes. We can get across the country in a couple of hours.
Right.
Now we can talk to people like this. You know, the idea of technology making things more convenient does not necessarily make things better. It makes people obviously less healthy. It makes people less equipped to do anything, movement wise. So I think that technology is great. We're not knocking technology, but at the same time, at what cost to the human population?
Speaking of health,
Let's get into it.
Read that Men's Health Journal thing?
Number one is Chipotle.
Chipotle. What was number two? Did they say, was it Burger King?
Burger King. Burger King came in at number 2.
And then Chick-fil-A. So this is the thing with a lot of that stuff. It's blatant misinformation at its finest. I mean, you're taking metrics that are, I think, pretty understood to be old school ways of thinking, right? Like, yes, calories count in like overall health. Yes. Fat counts. Yes. Cholesterol, all these markers that they discuss as the main deciding factors as to is this healthy or not. All of that stuff matters, but it matters in a much greater picture, right? They are not talking about where this meat comes from. Is it grass-fed? Is it grass-finished? Are hormones added? Are antibiotics added? They're not talking about any of that. And they're definitely not talking about also, which I think is just as important, seed oils. What is this stuff cooked in, right? So I looked this up. So, okay, it said Chipotle was number 1. So I looked this up online. To be fair to Chipotle, they do use canola oil in some of their dishes. They do use there's
soybean oil
and soybean oil. Yeah, correct. But then they also use rice bran oil, which I didn't know a lot about this. And it seems like it is, marginally healthier, just in terms of it's not as processed as the rest of those oils are. Still contains kind of a disproportionate amount of omega-6s than it does 3s, which I guess a lot of those do.
Right.
And then I also looked at the meat content. A lot of Chipotle, well, a lot. Half of what I found, half of their meat is grass-fed and or grass-finished. They don't use antibiotics and they don't use hormones. So to give them the credit that I think is deserved there, I think that's great. I don't agree with this article calling them the healthiest based off of the metrics that they chose in there, but I think that in general, I think Chipotle does a nice job with that stuff. Is it the healthiest? I don't know.
They're cheap.
And it also kind of like begs the question, and I know that we have talked about this on the show before, like what are the legal ramifications of saying that something is grass-fed or grass-finished? Can you get away with, like, if an animal eats grass in its entire lifespan, can you technically legally call that a grass-fed animal? I don't know if you can or not.
This is from the USDA. What is grass-fed meat? The diet shall be derived solely from forage consisting of grass, annual and perennial, forbs, so those are legumes, and brassica, like beans, browse or cereal grain crops in the vegetative pre-grain state. Animals cannot be fed grain or grain byproducts and must have continuous access to pasture during the growing season. So even to get, like, we've made this distinction of grass-fed versus grass-finished, how important that is. But even having the simple label of grass-fed seems way above something that is not grass-fed. I mean, if something's grass-fed, it's not your factory-farmed beef.
Which, man, like,
that's a big difference.
Give credit where credit's due, right? Good
for sure.
Good for Chipotle on that. I mean, that's important.
For sure. That's like, you know, the difference in pasture-raised eggs versus cage-free. Like, cage-free, they never see the light of day. You know? They just sit inside, and it's like the middle of Hong Kong in there.
Right. Now let's talk about Burger King.
How they came in number 2.
Man. Yeah, well, look, I don't know.
Let me play this video. I got Paul Saladino went into a Chick-fil-A, and he got all the ingredients. So when you go,
oh, nice.
First off, healthy and fast food should never go together. That's the title of that's the headline for the news article. Should never go together. But when you go get a chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A, let me share the screen and show you guys what you're getting in your sandwich.
I'm going to hate this. I can already tell you.
Over 100 ingredients in here. You are led to believe this is 100% chicken. I even asked them, is your grilled chicken sandwich, is that 100% chicken?
It would be real big trouble for one.
But a small amount of research will show you there are actually 46 ingredients in this grilled chicken patty. What's in here? Soybean oil and canola oil, modified cornstarch, processed sugar, xanthan gum, dimethyl polysiloxane, which is an ingredient in silly putty, is in here. This is nowhere close to 100% chicken. And that's not the end of it. 61 ingredients in this bun, also containing processed sugars, seed oils, gums, and that's not even including the Chick-fil-A sauce, which has a first ingredient of soybean oil. I'm all for
I love the Chick-fil-A
fast
sauce.
Food options, but marketing something like this as healthy and having 61 ingredients in this bun and 46 ingredients in this chicken patty, that's not healthy. That's just us getting played.
Crazy.
You guys ready to go Chick-fil-A after this or what?
Yeah, I'm starving. Let's do it. Man, that's very discouraging, and it really makes you kind of think, I mean, how much marketing plays into that, right? Like, how did Chick-fil-A market themselves as a healthy alternative? Was it basically that they like chose, hey, we're going to sell chicken instead of beef? Like, was chicken at that time considered healthier than beef? I don't know. I'm just curious.
Because I think it's because the whole fat is bad for you.
Yeah.
You know, line that we've been fed our entire
That's
lives.
What I was thinking
and so you can get the all white meat chicken. It's leaner, it's higher protein, all these taglines that they use. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I won't get fat eating a bun with 46 or 61 ingredients. Yeah.
Crazy, man. It's terrible for you. I'm sure margins came into play there, right? It's like, hey, we could get this for a lot cheaper.
So, Mark, about the chickens, it says, yes, Chick-fil-A changed their chicken by switching from a, quote, no antibiotics ever policy to now a, quote, no antibiotics important to human medicine policy, which means they now allow some antibiotics to be used on their chickens, but only those not typically used to treat humans.
What are the health ramifications of that?
They don't know.
What is...
They don't know. They said they made this change to maintain a consistent supply of chicken. So to keep up with demand, and that's the thing, to keep up with demand, to keep up with profits, these things have to be made. This is why canola oil, soybean oil, all these things. I mean, the majority of farmland in America is dent corn and soybeans that are used to feed cattle and to make soybean oil. So it's like, because that's the margins, and we've got to change the landscape. We can't just allow soybean oil, like farmers using 40,000 acres to raise soybeans that could be used for regenerative farming for cows and chickens and things that feed people way higher nutrients. It's denser food. It keeps them fuller longer. It keeps them healthier. Yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer when you talk about it, but did you also see this little bit about Panera bread at the bottom of that article?
Read it. What does it say?
So Panera bread came in fourth, and they're saying it's ironic because there's this student at UPenn who died by drinking their charged lemonade. Did you know they had charged lemonade? I
don't know what's in it, but it raised the eyebrows of the FDA, I believe, right?
So it's basically, they have the lemonade next to the non-caffeinated drinks, and it's basically caffeinated lemonade with guarana and what else is in there? But let's see. According to the filing, a 30-ounce serving of charged lemonade contains as much as 390 milligrams of caffeine.
Oh, wow.
Which is more than the caffeine levels of a Red Bull and a Monster energy drink combined, which is at 274.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but that's insane. Like 300 is an insane amount.
If you're not expecting it, right.
And that's what's interesting is so they didn't alert the customers to the caffeine levels, and this UPenn student, Sarah Katz, she died by cardiac arrest in September of 2022. Now, it could be something else. You know, a lot of people are dying of cardiac arrest lately, but also she had a heart condition called long QT syndrome type 1 and avoided energy drinks at all costs.
Interesting.
So if they were hiding it, then that's a big deal. I mean, 390 milligrams to, let's say, on average, 110 to 120 pound girl is an insane amount of caffeine. And if she...
How many of those did she have?
It doesn't say, but...
Yeah, you're getting a lot of caffeine in that. That's really dangerous.
All right, guys, tune in next week. There's going to be more to that episode, okay? We're also going to touch on personal accountability, how to balance, or as I said in the episode, not balance your indulgences and why it matters for your overall well-being. Okay, we're not only talking about biblical prophecies and these healthy, quote-unquote, fast food places, which I don't even think that should go together. But we also get into San Francisco's new weight image czar. I think I'm saying that right. She's 300 pounds, give or take, how tall she is. Can you have subcutaneous fat and be healthy? Yes. Are most people with an excessive amount of subcutaneous fat healthy? All right. We'll see you guys next week. Hope you enjoyed it.